This video doesn't end until we make the full farm for the entirety of the Brass Age. This farm that you can see is the entirety of the Andesite Age of the Create mod, but this is only half of the things that you can actually make. As you can see behind me, there are things like mechanical crafters, smart chutes, and everything that this doesn't make because that is Brass Age. So to fix this little predicament, we need to make a Brass Age farm, and there are some immediate challenges with that. In the base Create mod, brass is not a infinitely farmable resource because you need zinc and copper, both of which cannot be farmed. But then there are also things like redstone and stuff that are either very difficult or downright impossible to farm without some other mods attached to it. So for things that we cannot farm just off of nothing, we're going to just have a infinite source for, and that'll be used to make these farms, but you'll have to, in whatever survival world, depending on what mods you're playing, you'll have to input those items, whether it be manually or with a farm that fits your mod pack. This farm I made a few weeks ago, and there were actually quite a few suggestions, most of which I will be taking into account this time. The main one was just the cost of all of these frog ports was excessive, and there were other things that I just kind of decided that I want to change. And most of it is there were so many packages on these lines that occasionally it would back up. And when it backs up, all the packages just spin around here indefinitely and never get fixed or put into the correct place they want to be. There were also issues with, let's say we want to make some slabs or pressing or iron sheets. These expirations aren't really that necessary because no item should get lost in the system, so we're going to be fixing that as well. So let's get into how we're going to fix these frog ports. As you can see, I've just named them filtered saw 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we also have a different sawing over here for something that's still filtered. It is logs and slabs and planks. So the first one to do is to get a bunch of filtered saws all along the line that are in the same place so that it's easy to understand and are using less frog ports. You all gave me a really good idea and a good resource to look into. There is a YouTuber called Upside Down Foxo who is kind of just taking this new Create mod setup by storm. He has successfully made, at least semi-recently, a mass crafting machine that can craft crushing wheels, which is just bonkers. So definitely check him out. He only has 500 subs and he's making some cool tech videos. So if you're interested in that, definitely check it out. But he introduced me to this kind of setup. What we're doing here is we are sending out something to saw 1. That is going to be this first line here. And this is picking up anything with saw in the first bit of the name. What happens is that's going to pick up saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then these package filters here are going to determine which saw it actually goes to. We're using mechanical saws to break up the package, and then we're sawing the actual ingredients that are all getting delivered on this belt being brought back here. And then once we get 32 items, this will trigger, causing this whole thing to trigger, sending this back out. This will require that all items that are sent over here have at least 32 items in the output. And depending on how that works, since I know that some of them have outputs of 6, which isn't easily divisible by 32, we might need to change this, but that'll be for a future date. So anyway, let's show you what I'm talking about. We have nothing in here. Let's do, since it's sending to saw 1 and we're making shafts here, we're going to need to just supply it with some andesite alloy. And if we put that in, we should see that that's sent out. It's picked up by this guy and goes straight into here. Let's change this to saw 6 because I want to prove that it doesn't just go through. Oh, and you can see we already have 32 in here. So it's going to send out another section. There we go. But let's send it to saw 6. Saw 6 is going to be this one, which has, let's see, stripped logs, planks, and slabs. We can do all 3 here. If we just grab U3, we can send all 3 of those out. It'll get sent over and dropped out onto this section. So this is why we test things. It's probably actually a better idea now that I'm looking at it to just break it and extend that, because I don't know why, but I kind of get it, but depots kind of break stuff. But now that we have that, it's going at full speed. We can see that we are getting plenty of items going through. I will have to tweak these threshold switches because this is the first time I'm testing it with a ton of blocks. We don't want anything left over in here, but I would like it so that it only sends it out occasionally instead of setting a package every 10 seconds. And it also avoids the issue of when you're pasting stuff in with the schematic. Levers and powering this thing kind of break sometimes, so having it so that that doesn't happen is kind of ideal. And as you can see, this output here is filling up. We have plenty of stacks of everything that we care about. This may actually be done. Let's check this. Yeah, okay. So we don't have all the ingredients, but we have most of them, and that'll just take some tweaking to get perfectly used to. We might want to do 24 as our threshold since it is divisible by both 6 and 4. But anyway, this is the theory. I have kind of gone along and done it for a lot of the other ones. So you can see this is the fan system. we are again sawing the packages, turning them into the items, going straight into the chutes here, and then bringing everything down here. We have a crafting system that is a little bit jank, but it is double the amount of crafting so that we don't get backups with crafting. And then we have our mixing setup, which I think looks super, super clean. We are missing a few other ones, like this press and compacting one I think can stay. They're pretty similar in terms of like what I would ideally want anyway, so I think this is fine to keep. And then the train crafting and andesite alloy crafting still both kind of just need to stay the same. So now's the point where we kind of just recreate the setup that we have over here with our new tools, which use a ton less frog ports and some package filters, and get everything set up so that it should be working in here. Those three have now been put in along with the mixing setup that I actually had to change because it wasn't working as I would hope, but this one should now work. I think I tested it, I honestly don't remember. And also we moved some of these saws around, but everything should be in. It's a little bit longer than I would have liked initially, but that's okay. Now it's time to get in the massive factory wall for all the brass things you see behind me. I also want to do all the copper things and all of the redstone bits because, I mean, even things like the smart chute require redstone. So the redstone things should count as well, anything with an electron tube, all of that stuff. And this is going to be an absolute nightmare. I'm going to have to go through all of these things, make things for all the things. And yeah, it's going to be quite the doozy, but we will get it done. I am now looking through these, and as you can see, things like the encased chain drive require things from the andesite age, and it seems to be quite a common theme. So I was initially thinking to have the brass age separate from the andesite age, but I think honestly you need the andesite age to start with the brass age because so many of the things like chutes or whatever else need the basic chute to make the smart chute. And it would be kind of stupid to make a bunch of extra iron sheets for no reason. So I'm thinking we actually just expand this board to then encompass all the brass age stuff, and hopefully everything will still fit in this factory area. But as you can see up in the top left here, we have so many things to still go through. I'm also considering using slime balls as an input option so that we can make the gantry carriages. Wait, I'm stupid. Never mind. But for things like this stupid thing, I don't know what it is, but like maybe if we throw in slime, it'll just make it for us, which honestly might be worth our time considering it's pretty easy to just have a chest for slime and it just works. So I'm thinking we do just add it. And there we go. That has been done. I think this genuinely took 2.5 hours. I didn't just do this though. We'll get into this in a second. Let's first go over some of the changes that I made because we're going to start needing a couple of things. First of all, we're going to need sugarcane for paper, as you can see over on this corner here. We're getting a few sugarcane. I'm trying to get a bunch of sandpaper so that we can do a bunch of rose quartz stuff. So with that, we need a bunch of sugarcane. So that is where that farm is coming in. I may need to expand that in the future if it's not fast enough. The other two things that I did were add a thing for heated blaze burning, which currently only has brass, but we may add some more stuff, and a thing to make cardboard, which requires pulp. Cardboard is going to be used for the packager and repackager, and I put it up over here because it gives that vibe. All we need to do is for birch to go into pulp, to go into cardboard, to go into packaging bits. I don't know what these are called. But so far we have everything set up. We don't have anything configured with times. I did configure them with all their crafting ingredients and I set it to do not expire. If we do need them to expire, then we can add that with like a 30-minute or whatever timer, because the longer it is, the better, as these shouldn't be breakable, but maybe we'll see. I mean, the threshold switches are a little bit janky sometimes, as we've already discussed. Yeah, as you can see, we don't always get to the threshold we want. Maybe we lower this to 20 and 19. That may be worth it. Yeah, because then at least it's a little bit better. But for saws, let's drop saws down to 24. I think that'll be okay. Anyway, let's go over the things that we have added. We have a bunch of new sources. These are going to be in our andesite age farm, if you remember that. Just logs, just kelp, and just cobblestone. And then everything else is based off of those three. We're gonna need way, way more for this, and I've laid them all out on the top here. So we need wool. We're gonna throw in a little sheep farm over there with some deployers and stuff. It shouldn't be too difficult to get enough of that. We only need them for these 4 things anyway. So that should be doable. We have copper and zinc, both of which are not fully automatable since you need the crushed or ore version, and both of those are not possible in the base create mod. Slime balls, which are possible, but I'm going to leave them probably. Same with redstone, possible, but I'm going to leave them. Obsidian we don't actually need, we kind of just need the powder, but I'm going to have a chest or something for obsidian so that we can craft the powder if we wish, which we then use for all the train stuff. And then, as we mentioned already, the sugarcane area. So the only other farm we need to make to start this thing is wool. I don't really have a good place for it. I think maybe in the back here we can throw one in. It shouldn't be too difficult because all we need are sheeps, deployers, and we're good. I have also noticed while this is running that even though packages are flying around, the quantity is way less, which hopefully means these threshold switches are actually working. But let's get the sheep farm in. The sheep farm should be easy. Apparently I was wrong about observers working. If we throw in some shears, you can see that they don't actually pick up the items that they shear for whatever reason. I don't really understand that, so we're going to plan B. We're just going to do a vanilla farm. Yeah, as you can see, not super great. The reason I'm doing so much grass here is because each grass and like a 3x3 of the grass that we care about can, as you saw, it's so quick to refresh itself that we kind of are just waiting on the sheep to eat the grass instead of the grass to spread, which is exactly what we want. So I guess instead, let's break all this down and do the normal vanilla method. Okay, that took longer than expected, but we got it all working. I am using a super simple kind of hopper system here. Let me get some wool. If I throw some wool into this minecart and it comes back, it will turn off immediately, drop everything off, sending it over into this item vault. I'm combining it with the wood ones just for an additional storage thing, and we already have our overflow protection system. With that though, we should start seeing that we have wool in here, which we do. We have 65. So now I think it's worth just getting all the wool stuff set up and see that it works, because it should. 32 each of these, and then 2 stacks of the sails. We should be getting a boatload of packages, mostly for crafting. We do have that double crafting system, as I mentioned, and I do want to keep an eye out if my threshold switch idea is going to work. Yeah, so we're already getting a bunch of those crafted, which is really good news. My hope is that even with more things needing requesting and sending at all times, we're still gonna have enough items. I also want to just throw a bunch of wool in here because nobody cares at all if we cheat the wool production a little bit, because I mean, you could always just add more if you so desire, and I don't care. So there we go. Now we should have plenty of wool for everything that we need. This is going to jump up in a second. It should jump up in a second. This should really jump up in a second. Am I stupid? Where did I put the wool? Maybe I didn't. I'm going to check the footage because I swear I threw wool. Okay. Whoa. Okay. I guess I just didn't throw it. Update. There we go, 500. Now we should be good. Plenty of that, plenty of everything. Crafting's still going. Let's make sure that it's not being ridiculous. Doesn't look like it is. How many are we at? We're at 30. This should send out really soon here. And it is quick enough to not need to worry about extra stuff. Okay, that could be good news, but it may not be. I don't think it actually fixed our issue, but that's fine. It's not, it's super my problem, but I'm gonna pretend that it isn't. Okay, so that means the wool is going good. Let's get the copper and zinc inputs set up. Again, we're just gonna have them maybe here. This is a good area here where we can have all of our things. I think we just set up chests for copper, zinc, slime, redstone, and obsidian. Okay, we have our miscellaneous item vault here. This is going to be connected to the main system, and I hope I've laid it out so that it makes sense enough. If you're pasting this or with a schematic into survival, you're not gonna have these creative crates, but you'll have everything else, and that should be plenty to tell you what you need in each section, and even if you mess it up, you can always switch it out. I also have these linked to 90 and 80 stacks. This thing takes 900 stacks, and we're only at 91 stacks, yet all of them are like that? I mean, sure, whatever floats your boat. I think this may be wrong. Oh, no, this is 90 stacks of the singular item. Okay, got it. Yeah, that's fine. So that's gonna work great. We should see over here that we have all of the ingredients, yep, at the max level. Okay, now comes the time of insanity, I'm gonna be honest. I don't have replay mod because we're not in Fabric, but I suppose now is the time to set values for all of these things and do sales? Why no sales worky? What's your deal? It's because we have 30 in there. That's totally why. Yeah, and that has 30 packages sent out. Yeah, so that's the problem with item threshold switches. Okay, I've done a little bit of thinking on this, and with the help from my Discord, shout out Cal Wants Pizza. He is a legend. What about a pulse timer? So I'm thinking instead of this threshold switch garbage, we're just gonna throw in a brass thingy. Every 20 ticks, send it? No. Every 20 seconds. This feels reasonable enough to not cause too much lag, and we'll still be able to send out packages. I mean, if in any world, if any of these fill up past like a full barrel in that amount of time, maybe we could speed it up. But for now, I think that'll be fine. Let's just add in those things. And I'm going to add it in here as well, just for funsies. And I think this is a way better idea, just because there's not really a way to do it with the stuff that we have so far, or at least nobody's figured it out in a way that's like 1 or 2 blocks. So for now, we're keeping it. And then yeah, this will be the final one here. But now it is time to just set all the values for this, let this thing run and see what happens, which I'm so worried about. It's time to go. Let's get it. And obviously we had to start with setting up all of the numbers that we needed for all of the things that we're actually making. I then totally forgot about the precision mechanism farm that we had to actually build and set up. We ended up using a repackager to make sure that all the things were working, and then we got to AFKing. Honestly, the biggest thing was that our farms were too slow. This is only really a problem in the beginning when you're setting up all the things at once, because you're gonna be making like stacks on stacks of blocks of like dried kelp or the packing cube things, the cardboard. So that took a while. You can see up at the top that those are our main kind of issues, where we don't have enough saplings or we don't have enough kelp or whatever. But eventually we got through all of the items that we needed. All the lines started to turn blue, and then we finally got to green, and then the farm is done. And there we go. Everything is basically done. We still have some blue lines because we're not full back on the golden stuff, but everything that really matters is now completed. This whole brass side is finished, and this is crazy. We have in this episode basically this entire half created, built, new. We've updated all of our farms to be a little bit less crowded on the lines themselves. We've added a sugarcane farm, a wheat farm. We've added 5 inputs for items that are either very difficult or not farmable. We doubled our crafting output, and we have automated the entirety of the copper age, the entirety of the wool age, the entirety of the brass age, and all of the redstone bits that go along with it, all the train stuff that goes with it. And let's just check out our stock ticker to see how much stuff we actually have, because this is bonkers. 1,200 train tracks, multiple stacks of brass ingots, brass sheets, 4 stacks of factory gauges, so much cardboard, train casings, precision mechanisms, mechanical arms, smart chutes, deployers, deployer hands, so many things. This was an insane success, and we've updated so much of this build. Stay tuned for the tutorial of this coming soon-ish. I will not post the schematic to this until the tutorial comes out, just so that I get any bugs out of the way that I find while making the tutorial. But this thing is now completed. We are building it off of just one clipboard with way better naming schemes for fans and saws and mixers. Everything is working so much better, and we have automated the brass age. The brass age is done. Basically the entire, all the create mod blocks, if we just search at create, almost all of the blocks in here we have automatically created. We are auto crafting, which is bonkers. So I hope you enjoyed this video of just trying to figure out how everything's going to work, upgrading our previous setup, and getting all of the brass age stuff in. And stay tuned for that tutorial. And if you're new, subscribe. I make amazing content, as you can obviously tell. I'm so charismatic and funny as well. I'm 6'5", 6-pack. Okay, maybe I'm not that funny, but good at Minecraft. So you should subscribe for that and like the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.